So, we're back talking about getting from 0 to 10,000. So we've spoken about how to find investors, how much I need. I've touched on what I think my strategy is, and you've also given me advice. What's next?
So there was also two questions we asked for as well. How long do you want to spend? Do you want to spend a lot of time acquiring and then spending time on managing?
Managing, probably not, because the areas I've chosen are 2 hours away. So no, I'll happily pay and make less to just look after it. The time acquiring it, I don't mind. I quite enjoy it. It's fun. It's a business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, oh my god, property, I need to spend every second on Rightmove. But at the same time, I'm not like, oh, sources, take my money and find me property. I'm kind of, 85% I will find it myself, and then 15%, I'll see what sources give.
Because
that's just
the reason why I was asking was probably the fastest way you could do it, because you are a marketing guy, so I'm thinking how you can play to your strengths is rent to rents. But
knew it.
Gotta be local.
Knew it.
I've called it.
I attempted rent to rent for a while, and I just thought. So let's say with one I was looking in Slough, down the road. You have to put in 5, 6, 8 grand in order to get it cash flowing.
Yep.
And at the same time, I thought, well, hold on, I'm leaving in half of that or the same of that in Wales and the Midlands potentially, cash flowing less. But I own an asset that in the future goes up in capital. I can remortgage, I can securitize, I can use it as something to lend. It's a powerful tool. And I was like, I'm not in a super rush to get cash flow. So that kind of put me off rent to rent. It was the more, and again, I'm still not, it's a great strategy. But that kind of put me off it. I don't know if that's the wrong thought to have.
It is kind of like a job. I did rent to rent as one of my sort of strategies I accidentally fell into in 2013 and 14. But in terms of building fast cash flow, and the way to get around the whole spending the 5-8 grand up front, you can do that, but you tell the landlord, look, I'm adding value to your property, can I keep the first X months worth of rent? So you pay yourself back a turbocharged cash flow, quickly reliquify yourself, and then you obviously pay them their guaranteed rent. I say guaranteed because nothing in life's guaranteed.
But at the same time, couldn't I raise enough finance to then build a portfolio quick enough that is the same sort of thing as rent to rent, if that makes sense?
Yeah, you could. I was just giving you other ideas. So you could have a local strategy to do that. Or another thing is, because I'm trying to think about your marketing sort of brain. So another thing what you could do is market for tenant buyers. I'm going
to be doing that for the Welsh one potentially.
But what you could do is market for tenant buyers in an area where you don't own any property. You collect those leads. Let's say the typical rent is £500, and you say, okay, well, no problem. What sort of purchase price are you looking at? Property values go up every 7 to 10 years. If we allowed you to buy it in 7 to 10 years' time, what sort of values do you think you'd be looking at? So if the property value is currently worth 100, would you be happy to buy at 130 in 7 to 10 years' time? Yeah, that's all right, because it'll be worth 200, wouldn't it? Well, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Could be, could not be. So what you do is you pre-close that deal, and then you say, well, I understand the rent. You do understand the rent's £500 a month. Would you be happy paying an extra £200 a month on top of that will contribute to your future deposit, or deposit to purchase the property when you get a mortgage? Yeah, that sounds good. So what you've done now is you found someone who will happily pay £700 a month and will buy the property from you at 130 grand.
Okay.
You then go out and try buy a house for 100 grand, or you tell a landlord and you say, hey, I'll pay you $550 a month. And they'll go, sick. Also, what I will also do is I'll make sure that there's no maintenance and there's no letting agent fees for you as well. They're like, okay. You get the tenant buyer, you say to the tenant buyer, this is going to be your home, right? And they're like, yeah, great. You take care of all the maintenance. I don't need the manager. If you miss a single payment, we revoke this entire contract.
Okay.
They'll need to pay 5% up front.
As a deposit?
Don't call it a deposit, you go to prison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Non-refundable upfront
It's
consideration.
a non-refundable upfront consideration.
Okay, non-refundable consideration.
Because it's not a deposit.
Okay.
And then you run an AST alongside the option contract.
Okay.
So if they do default, you can collapse the option contract, leaving them on an AST, and then you can serve them a Section 21 as well if you want after that and go around. the
Okay,
process.
yeah, I've heard of this strategy. Okay.
So, but what you've done now effectively is you've got paid to do a deal. You found a tenant buyer. You
Okay.
found a landlord that's gone. I can't be bothered. I might sell in a few years' time. I might not. Okay, well, you said to the landlord, look, tell you what, we'll buy it for 105 grand in X years' time. It's obviously you've obviously got to be able to exercise the contract with the tenant buyer earlier than with the landlord. So the landlord one has to be slightly longer.
Okay.
And that's it. And that's one way you can do that.
What do you call it, Rav? You call that a sandwich option?
Gluten-free.
He loves sandwiches. You can tell. Did a lot of sandwiches back in the day.
Okay, that's an interesting thing. And then, but hold on, if they do buy it in X many years, that 5%.
That gets knocked off the completion price. But you're free to spend that 5% now.
Until the time.
Yeah.
You can do what you want because you just knock it off completion.
Okay.
So you've pre-agreed your margins.
Same with the extra 150 that you're making on the cash flow. It's getting knocked off the end, so you can spend it now.
The thing you've got to be careful with is how the lenders sort of perceive this transaction in that 5 years' time as well.
Okay.
Because they're going to go, well, who bought this? Who's doing this? And you're basically the guy in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the paper handler. So you.
The options with you and the landlord, the agreement for tenant buyer is between you and the tenant. When it gets purchased, they buy the option off me, which then technically buys it off the landlord.
Yes. So like the wrong way to do it is assignable. Because if you assign the contract, they have to make up the difference in cash.
Okay.
Because let's say you've got a deal with the landlord at 105 grand, and you go, right, I'm going to use an assignable clause. I've done this and it's backfired. Although I was being clever. You assign it to them. Well, you assign the 105 grand contract to them. The lender's looking at 105 grand not 130. So they're going to give them.
We run out of space. Insufficient space on the card.
You want to take the card from there and there?
That card
Oh.
is very different to that card. That card is about this big.
Oh, it's the old compact flash thing.
Compact flash, yeah.
Oh fuck! Actually, these sound like camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck.
I don't know how long ago that killed it.
I mean, we've still had this though. This is important.
Yeah,
This is the
yeah.
main one, so that's fine. Let's just
Yeah.
carry on with this
Colour
All
on
right,
it is
because
rogue.
that's going to take ages to take off.
Yeah, forget that. That's fine. Where were we?
So that's one. That's an idea. The kind of tenant buyer piece, and I guess I could do that in London because I'm not putting any money in, and people do want to buy around London, right? So I can be quite local. Okay, and that would you say is time consuming in the sense that it is quite an active strategy?
It's active. It's active to set the deals up. But once you've got them in, done.
And I'd say it's no more active than traditional putting 40 offers in to get one accepted. To acquire, it's no different.
Yeah,
It's still
yeah,
the same
yeah,
amount
think
of effort,
about that.
but it's less effort, as Ravi says, to manage once it's done.
It's the goal was to have 10 grand a month. It wasn't. I want to have this much equity. If there's that, then there's a different strategy.
I think it probably is that. Then it is to have 10 grand a month from primarily, if not all, owned properties. Whether that's lease optionally owned, whatever, but just an asset. I think is probably what I should have said. But that may not be the right way to do it. I'm not against not having it, but I do want assets.
You could always do a mix of all. And,
Yeah.
And you've always got. I mean, James, you might think different. I always think it's really important to do a mix of asset building and just cash piling.
Yeah, 100%.
It's really. And I'm only saying this because I've been in situations where I was like, I'm asset rich and no cash. And then I've got bills flying at me left, right, and centre. I'm going, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
I need another month. I need more
Yeah.
rent coming in.
Like, come on, tenants, hurry up! Print it faster! Faster, bloody fast! So it's very, very... So it's really important and to liquefy yourself as much as you can as you're going on. And, any property investor tells you that it was an easy journey. That, either they haven't done enough deals, or they're the most methodical person, well-timed, they've got a war chest or whatever it is. But, if you're starting from, if you're doing a zero to hero jump, you're going to have so many cash issues along the way. So I think running with one strategy, it's like you're going into war with a toothpick.
But what if I have cash coming in from a completely different business or type of work to make up that? Because that was my
If
plan.
your time's dependent on it, then I wouldn't. It's not
You
scalable.
can't do enough deals then.
Yeah. So
I
if
see.
it's like, so a lot of people sort of kid themselves and they go, "Oh, I've got a job bringing me 10 grand a month. Could that not be a?" Well, you're the only asset in that.
Yeah.
What you want to do is build lots of little, they say multiple income streams and all that. You want to build lots of little avenues of little streams of cash coming in. So if one falls over, the other ones are still good.
Yeah, because I think for me, with my recruitment business, there's a possibility, and I've been bad at this because I've been contracting, to make 3 to 6 grand a month with probably a day's work. So for me,
A day's work a month or a week?
probably a month. If I take it in hours, I would probably say I could do. Let's just say 12 hours a month. I could make that much confidently. I know the client knows me, and it's just streamlined. I am the asset, but when it comes to the property thing, I see that as, you know what, it's a day, a month to make that kind of money. To get 3 grand from a rent to rent, that's 3 rent to rents. Like, that's way more work. And I'm not sitting in my pajamas in my room doing it. Where I am with this. So for me, I kind of have that stream where I'm like, yes, I'm the asset, but actually, it's a day. I can give up a day of not viewing. Do you know what I mean? To do that, to pay the bills. So I think, I didn't say this earlier because it didn't occur to me, that's also why I'm quite focused on the asset part, because I know I have streams that take very minimal effort, and I know as I contract and my day rate goes up and I consult, I know that I'll be spending minimal time in getting, enough money to cover living stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm focused on the asset part in terms of doing it. But again, like something like service accommodation definitely interests me, and it doesn't have to be on something I've rented. It could be on something I own, and then the profit's even higher because the mortgage is cheaper.
I've never done service accommodation.
Yeah, I'm not interested in it, but I'll definitely give it to someone to do it.
There's a lot of people killing it.
Absolutely killing it. Yeah.
So
I think
that boat.
I think at the moment, for me, service accommodation is such a new sector that there's a lot of growth potential in it. And whenever a sector's not very well developed, there's a lot of quick money to be made. But as the sector gets more flooded, then obviously your margin gets decreased.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd say in buy-to-let at the moment, that for me has been around for so long, there's still margin to be made in it.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's like a stable strategy. HMO, the margins got eaten out of HMO. It's still a strategy that works.
Even as the regulations start piling on, boom.
I'd still advocate it. I still do it, and I'd say that's going to be the strategy that's going to, rather than having to do 50 deals, if you do 10 1,000 cash flow deals, you're out.
Yeah.
Not that that's easy to do, and you're going to need to make sure the demand's there, and you need to test that demand as well. But it's way less properties to get you to your target. Obviously, you'll need experience, so now that you're getting this first one done, that's going to count towards that.
So would you say the strategy I have of let's say I'm just going to be buying stuff, it's just straight assets. Would you say that the kind of buy-to-lets, security, HMOs, some security and cash flow, blocks of flats, then commercial conversions, would you say that kind of transition and balance is going to get me to that target in an efficient way in terms of using money? And are HMOs and blocks of flats going to give me a much bigger return on cash left in, or ROI, than, they are then the kind of buy-to-lets. But, what I'm saying is that strategy I've said a good way of getting to that number if we're only buying stuff?
It is a plain vanilla way of looking at it. Yeah, I think.
I'd say blocks of flats 100%.
Yeah, blocks of flats. I love buying tied blocks of flats, doing my work, whack them all on tenant buys.
Yeah.
And
that's what I want.
The reason being is I like churning my deals, or pre-churning if I'm doing it. Because tenant buyers, I won't have that block forever, because these guys may exercise their option and it'll be gone.
Yeah.
But it makes it way more hands-off for me. Because no matter what everyone says about buy-to-lets, passive income, bollocks. Like, you've still got to do your gas saves, you've still got to do randomly it's empty and you get council tax bills. And then you ignore it and then they take you to court.
Another video.
Yeah. So like, think about you want to have that consistency, because when I started, obviously I've raced through a lot of deals, but then I was like, oh wow, I can't manage this. This wasn't as passive as I thought it was. Whereas if you do like social housing contracts,
which I'm actually
guaranteed
looking
sort
at
of
in
rents as
Birmingham
well.
at the moment. So that's actually that's what I'm viewing on Saturday, are potential HMOs for social housing.
Yeah.
So that'll net 900 a month.
Is that on an FR&I lease as well, or is that
What
going
is
to
it?
be?
Oh, you mean a like where they just so it's no voids, no maintenance, no
Perfect.
whatever. It's just
Wonderful.
buy. So I've kind of been looking at that. So again, I didn't mention this earlier, but that is what. Hopefully, the next property will be one of those.
They're harder to finance, but I can help you with that. Yeah, so
I know you can.
in terms of like getting financing on those, or like the clauses.
Yeah, there are lenders and clauses in it.
Some lenders want to stay away from social housing, is because, and it's weird. I remember having a conversation with the banks about this and said, "Well, it's guaranteed rent. How am I not going to pay my mortgage?"
Zero.
And they said, "Well, you may have financial difficulties elsewhere, Rav,
You could either way.
and then we may have to repossess the property. We don't want to repossess the property because we don't want to kick out vulnerable tenants. We don't want the PR.
I've heard this actually. Yeah.
Oldham Moor, Shawbrook, things like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh. And they're like, and then we'll have to honour the rest of the contract because it's on a lease. We're not in the business of building. We're in the business of lending. We don't want to have a portfolio.
Yeah.
So.
But there's always challenges, aren't there? With everything we're going to do, there's always someone who can fix it.
And there are lenders that will lend on it. They do quite like challenger banks as well. They quite prefer it, and you put break clauses. But then if you put a break clause in, it gets rid of the security for the housing provider and yourself.
And for us, yeah.
So you can put conditional stuff in. So there's lots of ways, and what I would say is try not to use too many of the tricks. See where the issues are with the lender and the provider. Marry that up, and then just machine gun through that same model in that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you try to do socialising in Birmingham, one in Warrington, one in Coventry, one in London, one in this.
I want to do it in one place, wherever that is.
Perfect, yeah. And then just knock them out, bam, bam, bam.
But once you know your strategy, then you can figure out roughly how much your cash flows are going to generate. Strategy, then the area, you know how much cash flow you're going to be getting per deal. Then reverse engineer your calculations, right? How many deals do I need to get done? So you know a deal number, and then you can figure out, right, how many deals do I need in my funnel in order to deliver the number of deals in the timeline that I need. Because if you're not doing X amount of viewings, or rather, if you're not doing X amount of offers a month, or X amount of offers at any one time, you're not going to hit your deals in the timeline that you need to.
Solid advice.
So we need to really get actionable on, right, how many offers have you put out? How many angels are you pitching? You need to, based on your metrics and your timelines, you need to be offering on 20 a month. Are you doing that? Do you have the capacity to? Well, actually, I've exhausted all my marketing avenues in this area.